And dad is not a noun, not at all.
My message to any dad, man, first off, know that, yeah, it is a hard job, but it's the greatest job in the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't change anything about it. Everything you're doing from here on out, if it didn't have purpose before, now it has purpose. It's the most important thing you'll ever do. Just be a dad.
Welcome to another episode of Dad is Not a Now. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for men of color fatherhood, as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And today, I want to have a conversation about the environment. And I have a great guest with me on. I want to draw the correlation of how we treat the earth, because we call Earth Mother Nature. And so in this conversation, we're going to get into how the way we treat the earth is give you a hindsight of how we treat Black women, not just in this country, but across the world. And so to have this amazing conversation with me, I'm truly honored to have Diamond Spratling with me. She's an award-winning climate DisruptHER, got it right, climate TED Talk speaker and the founder of Girls Plus Environment. She's also an author of a new children's book, Sage Sells the World. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited all about the conversation for today.
Definitely. The question I want to I ask all my guests before we get into this deep conversation, because I'm an advocate for mental health, because I think that's important. Especially when we pour so much into other people, we have to make sure our cup is full. So my question to you, how's your heart at this moment?
I love that question. Thank you for asking. My heart feels very pure, actually. It feels very good. It feels full. That's the word I've been using. I actually just got back to town from being on a 21-day mini sabbatical, and that was so needed for my mental health. Just like you said, we pour so much into everybody else, everything else, and so that was my 21 days to reset, reflect, pour into myself, rest. So I'm feeling very whole and just very full. That's where my heart's feeling right now.
That's awesome. And so let's get into your journey to where you're at right now. What got you into climate change and the environment? What got you to that interest?
Yeah. Love this question. Because people are like, how did you get into this work? So I was a kid when I was first exposed to climate issues. I was watching TV with my brother, and there was like a Save the Polar Bears commercial that came on. It was like super sad, pulling on my ethos and stuff. And they were like, adopt a polar bear for $19.99 a month, something like that. And obviously I was a kid. My mom was not giving me $20 to adopt a polar bear. But it sparked my interest. I was like, what's going on? Like, I did love animals when I was a kid. I loved science and being outside. I was outside till the street lights were on. And that just kind of sparked just curiosity as a kid. So then I started learning more, reading more books, and then taking more classes that had to do with the environment and how we should save the planet and care for it and all of those things. And it eventually evolved into environmental justice because I was learning like, oh, this isn't only just an issue for polar bears and like people from all over the world. This is something that I was experiencing in my own backyard and I didn't even realize it. I'm outside playing, but I'm born and raised in Detroit. So we have the automotive industry, which brought the jobs. We love that, but it also brought a lot of pollution. And so I was realizing like, oh, I'm experiencing these issues as well, the climate, my health, and all of that. So it just kind of spiraled from there. And then I started my nonprofit that works to get more Black and brown women into the space, and now working on the children's book to get more youth into the work as well. So it just kind of all spiraled from there, from that one commercial that I saw when I was a kid, and here we are now years later.
Awesome. And then also when you were doing your research and your studying, like when was that aha moment with you when you're like environment justice is civil rights? So when was
Yes.
that moment for you? And Like dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was in college actually. I think I was maybe a sophomore, and I had an internship working at the intersection of just like energy policy and health. And that was something that was so new to me because I was more so used to learning about conservation, save the planet, and all of that. But I learned about the more communal aspect of it. And it kind of came about when one of my mentors, she was telling me about how when kids have to miss a school day for asthma attack, that's triggered sometimes, especially being around pollution and outdoor air pollution. But when a child misses a school day, their parent has to miss work or they have to hire a babysitter. That's less food on the table. That's economics. Being able to like having to go to the ER. There's so many ER visits for asthma attack because a lot of us don't even have the insurance to go to our doctors. And so that was just really a mind blowing, just like conversation of like, oh, it's not just about the pollution and like save the planet because we should. It's because this is impacting our health, our well-being, economic, all of these things, being able to go to work. And so that's when I was like, oh, wow, this is even more of an issue. And this is why we really need to be at these tables because they're not knocking on our doors telling us like, oh, hey, we're polluting your neighborhood, you know? So that was really the kind of like connecting point for me.
And like go a little bit more as a black woman.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do with this conversation is draw that um, correlation to how black women treated here, as well as how we treat the earth. Can you kind of put those
Yeah.
parallels together? Because I think that's important, especially when you talk about getting more brown and black girls into this field.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that I'm always very adamant about talking about is this isn't new work. This isn't new information or new issues. I always go back and tell people that our ancestors have been doing this work. I'm not the first person to say we need to conserve things. Like my grandma was telling me you need to turn off those lights or putting plastic on top of the like windows to conserve the air and the heat in the wintertime, plastic on the furniture, you know, all of those things, recycling and reusing everything. Like none of this stuff is new. Like there are ancestors who could go outside and tell you whether it's going to rain and at what time and all of that. And so what I kind of want to always make sure that I go back to is that this is generational and this earth belongs to us and it's so important for us to protect it. But what I've seen is that we haven't been protecting our earth. We've been really taking advantage of it and exhausting all of our resources to an extent, you know, and we've kind of carried carried that to its extinction. And just as you said, we see that every day, especially when we're talking about Black women, you know, being these saviors and superheroes in our communities, which that is in our blood, that's in our nature. And it's so hard because that's just how we are. But at the same time, there gets to a point where we just exhaust and we deplete. And the world doesn't always appreciate us, just as the world doesn't always appreciate our earth or our environments. But if we want to still be here, we have to continue to water it. Same as we continue to water our earth and pour into it, we have to pour into the community members and the people who are leading and taking ownership of this work. And I tell people all the time, the climate movement is no different. Black women, we've been the backbone of every other single movement up in here. Me Too movement, civil rights, Black Lives Matter, all of it. And so the climate movement, there's no difference. There's no difference at all. And when we talk about solutions and making sure that our communities are able to really thrive in our own environments, is going to take Black women, like it always does.
Yeah.
but I think that shows our resilience. But again, with balance, just as we started this whole conversation of, you know, how's your heart feeling? Are taking care of ourselves and our own mental health, I think is even far more important as well.
Definitely. And let's transition into why did you create it, your nonprofit Girl Plus environment?
Yeah. So backing up, when I had my whole realization between the connection of the environment and racial justice and all of that, I was furious. I was so mad learning that like all of these issues were happening in my own community. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm in school studying environmental issues and I didn't make this connection until now, I know good well my cousins in my neighborhood didn't know that as well. And so I went on to Facebook and I made a post and I'm like, you guys are so busy caring about fashion and shoes and stuff. We need to care about our environment. And I'm sure you can guess I got 0 likes on that on that post, 0 comments, no attention at all. And back then I was frustrated. I was upset. I said, why don't my people care about the issue like I care about it? Like I'm so mad. And I learned that that was not the case. I learned that one, the way I was talking about environmental issues wasn't in a way that resonated with my family or the people in my community. And I was coming in a point of shaming people in doom and gloom. And that is not how we build and bring community together. And so essentially, I created Girl Plus Environment to shift the narrative of what it means, what it looks like to be an environmentalist, so that we are aware that, hey, there's space for us in this movement. And if anything, we should be the ones leading it. And so I wanted to create a space, a safe space that was fun, inviting, full of culture and community, where we could come together and advocate for issues that impact us every single day. And so that's all the way down to the fact that environmental toxic chemicals are in our beauty products, or understanding the connection between our high utility bills and clean energy. You know, really all of those things, making it more relevant to people. So that's kind of where it came out of. I just basically said, how can I get my friends to care about something I cared about? And it has now turned into this 700 plus member organization all across the US now.
Can you, if you want to talk about it, it's up to you. But give me
Yeah.
a personal story where if it was someone in your organization or anyone that thank you for that information, or just
Yeah.
thank you for this. Can you can not kind of, are you able to tell a personal story that if you
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, about a year ago, actually, I was at a holiday party for one of our partners, and one of our former fellows came up to me. And so, just for a little bit of background, we do a fellowship program every year. We usually select about 25 Black and Brown women who want to learn how to mobilize their own community around environmental justice issues. We provide them with stipends, trainings, technical assistance, really whatever they need to be able to support themselves in their community. And one of the fellows came up to me last year and she was like, "Hey, I was a fellow." And she was like, "I loved your program. It was so beneficial to me and to my community." And then she goes, "I now work at one of the other environmental justice community orgs that's nearby." And before that, she had never done anything related to environmental justice. And so it was just like, it's at the end of the year where you're just getting tired and it's like, oh, I'm just don't want to do anything. Sometimes you get unmotivated, but that was really the thing for me, that it's like, okay, this is what it's all about. It's not me and the opportunities that I have or the rooms that I'm in. It's about being able to create spaces for other Black women. And so that was really just beautiful to see that she not only created her entire like a program within her own community, she now has a leadership role in this space and is getting compensated for her incredible work. So that was really great to see.
and let's get into the Black Girl Magic book that you recently released. I'm gonna bring it up, the
Oh yeah, I
website
got the book right
right
here.
now. Uh, I'm truly, I love the artwork. Uh, Sage sells the world. What was the inspiration behind this beautiful children's book?
Yeah, so a lot of this came out of me wanting to normalize conversations and from a very early age around climate and environmental issues. When I was first getting into the work and just, even as a kid, I was curious about the environment and I was trying to talk to even my mom about the issues. She's like, yeah, that's important, that's great, but that's not dinner table conversation. And, to me, I'm like, well, this has everything to do with the food on our tables. And so I wanted to create a very hopeful narrative for youth to be curious about climate, be curious just about the world, and to be from a young age to learn about different climate issues, but more importantly, to be able to learn about what actions that they can take. And so that they know there is no problem that's too big, being able to bring hope and empathy in this space, especially on a topic as big as climate change, right? There's always that narrative of doom and gloom, and that makes people feel like they can't do anything or make them feel hopeless. But this book is supposed to do the opposite. And so I really wanted it to be a very intergenerational book. And so that's why I use the narrative of essentially Sage's grandmother used to go to all of these beautiful places. She was a traveler, but when she went and told her granddaughter Sage about it, and Sage goes and travels to those places, they don't exist anymore. They're gone. The water has dried up. The fish have left, And so being able to talk about that intergenerational just like timeline is so important for adults and for youth. And so that's what I really wanted to do, is bring both the parents, grandparents, and the kids together to talk about how do we bring hope into this space. So yeah.
No, I love the concept of having the babies get connected to the ancestors, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so important. So I love that concept. But
Yeah.
also, what was the inspiration behind giving her the name Sage? What was the inspiration behind
Mm.
that name?
Yeah, so I love the name Sage. I actually, if I'm blessed to have a daughter one day, I would love to name her Sage. And so that is really kind of where the name came from. And I think that that is even more beautiful to be able to say, this is the future, and I'm able to give this to, hopefully my future daughter one day. But yeah, I just always love the name Sage.
And then also, just talk about the importance of the dog, Benji, her best friend.
Yeah. Oh, I think that that is such an important element because I went back and forth of,
But
do I just have
if
it?
if you wanna
Uh,
tell a little bit of it, because people have to
yeah,
buy the book to enjoy the whole thing, so if you wanna
absolutely.
give them if you don't wanna give them everything about it,
Oh, yeah.
don't.
No, no, you're good. I won't spill all the beans for sure. You'll definitely have to purchase the book to see the full thing, and it's a series as well. So the next book in the series will be coming out in Earth Month, which is in April of next year. But essentially, I went back and forth on, if I wanted to have kind of this dog companion or not, or if it was just going to be this incredible young Black girl by herself. But I wanted to bring in the elements of friendship and support and being able to lean on people in this space, because I think that that's so important in this movement. And even for Black women, I actually was just talking about this the other day. It's hard for us to even ask for help or want to seek support because we are so these strong, independent, women. But I think it's good to do that. And I wanted to, in this book, kind of show that that is a safe space to collectively come up with ideas and instill hope and support on one another. So that's how Benji kind of came into place.
And I love that when you talk about pets, animals, they have this love language that humans will never understand when it comes to nature. There's
Yep.
things that they get we will never get.
Yep. Yep. That's very, very true. We don't have that same connection that they do, and they don't know how to tell it to us. So
Right.
we're the ones left out. But they know something. And if you don't care about the planet for your own community, at least for the pets, the people, the other organisms on this planet that haven't really contributed to climate change as much as humans have, at least.
And just talk about going back to your nonprofit. Talk about how it felt for you to partner up with like organizations like the World Health Organization,
Yeah,
California Air Resources Board, SoCal
yeah,
Gas, and the CDC.
yeah,
So, like, because you work with those organizations, you partner with them, like you put your foot in the sand. So, just talk about
yeah.
that for you personally, from where you started to
Yeah.
where you're at now.
Absolutely. It's been absolutely incredible. I mean, these have been dream partnerships that I don't think I would have I even imagined. I mean, I didn't even imagine that my organization would be here today. It will be 7 years in February, and I was a first year grad student when I first started it. So it's mind-blowing to know that we are here and we're still standing, but so appreciative. And so I think these partnerships have been very incredible to kind of not even like validate our work, but to be able to amplify the work. And I think that, Girl Plus Environment has such a significant role because we are our community. We are connected to our community to versus how other organizations they don't have that. They don't know how to connect with our people every single day. And so we're able to make that bridge to make sure that our members have access to opportunities, that they are supported, that they have funding. And so it's been incredible to be kind of like in the middle, to kind of be a liaison between what our communities need and also what different organizations can support and provide for them.
And then, as a Black woman, talk about how it felt speaking at the UN.
Yeah, that was incredible. I can't believe that I did that, and it was just such a I mean, honestly, a privilege to go, to be in Egypt, of all places, to talk about an issue that I care so, so much about, and I think it just kind of was felt very full circle to talk with people about, how important it is to have Black and brown women at the forefront of climate issues. And I think that we need more of that. And to be able to take what I've learned and bring that back to my community, I think that that has been even more incredible to kind of see unfold. But it was such an awesome experience. I mean, to be able to go to Egypt and talk at the United Nations, it was very awesome. It was yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
Thank
again,
you.
that's more affirmation for little brown and Black girls to see that she
Yeah.
looks like me and she's there.
Exactly, exactly, and that's really what it's all about. It's not about me at all. I want millions and billions of other Black girls to just, like, see what I'm doing and know that this is possible and that they can achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve in life, and so I'm just here to create space and to create that pipeline, whether they want to enter the climate career, the climate sector, or whether they want to be a movement leader or do work within their own communities at whatever level. So I'm honestly really grateful to be able to be in a position to provide as many opportunities for them too.
And I did listen to one of your TED Talks. Uh, and what I found what was important was the topic energy burden.
Mm.
Can you tell what that means and go into
Yeah.
depth about that?
Yeah. Whew, energy burden. So the thing is, energy burden essentially is the percent of money that we pay for our energy bills every month in comparison to the amount of money that we're bringing in, comparison to our income. How much you're paying for utility bills, how much are you bringing in every month or every year? And typically, it's supposed to be around, 3%. Some communities, it's been 5%. However, communities or households that are considered significantly energy burdened are households that are paying upwards of 10% of their entire income on energy bills. And actually, here in Atlanta, there are households that are paying upwards of 18%, like 18% of our income just going to energy bills alone just to keep the lights on. And so that's such a significant issue because I think a lot of people don't really resonate with how that connects to many other things that are happening in our communities. For example, it's getting cold out. Now we're entering into the winter seasons when people's energy bills or when their energy is being cut off. They're looking at other things, trying to keep the house warm, space heaters, whatever the case may be, that's dangerous and can result in fires or carbon monoxide poisoning, all of the different things. And even being able to or having to choose between, do I pay my energy bill or do I put food on the table? Do I pay the mortgage? Like, what do I do? What has to get cut out? Do I pay for my prescriptions? And so my idea of this concept, because many folks in the environmental and the clean energy space, they want to transition into clean energy. Of course we all want clean energy. That's what we would like to do, but we have to understand the avenue and the pathway to clean energy has to be equitable. We can't just transition as fast as possible. It has to be as fast and fair as possible. And we have to make sure that households who are most energy burdened are able to pay their utility bills and have access to clean energy resources that will not break their bank. So that's my entire TED talk in 2 minutes. But essentially, I'm looking at the root causes. Yes, technology is important and wanting to have the next great thing in clean energy is great. But people just want to be able to pay their bills. And before we can do all these advancements, we have to look at the root causes, which is access to affordable energy.
Definitely. And then transition, but sticking with that theme of energy burden, I want to bring up AI data centers that's popping up all over the country, right?
Yeah.
And one of the critical things about data centers, when you talk about making energy bills higher for people that live in that neighborhood, is that you have these subsidies, and with these government subsidies, they put the onus on the energy bill on the consumer.
Yep.
And then on top of it, when you talk about when it comes to energy burden, what was it? I'm trying to think. Was it in 2023? Uh, AI data centers used over 500 billion
Mhm.
water globally. That's globally. I'm not even talking about like states that have data centers that's using
Mhm.
massive water. That's resources that should be for the public, but to run those data centers that need that water. So if you want to kind of dive into that a little bit when you talk about
Yeah.
energy burden and data centers.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking about that the other day, and I think it's so timely and it's so scary, right? Because it's like, oh, yay AI kind of, but like no, we don't want it to hurt our environment, and like also jobs are being taken away, but at the same time we don't want our community to get left behind. There's so many different factors and it's so hard to wrap our heads around it. But one of the things that has been top of mind for me is thinking about the community impact, is specifically around health. Those data centers, they're being intentional about where they are being placed. It is not by mistake. There's an entire policy that was created many, many years ago called NIMBY, which stands for Not in My Backyard. But it was essentially a policy for white communities to argue and say they don't want it in our backyard and they will put it in ours. But I'm saying not in our backyards either. We don't want it in ours over here either. And so it's been a significant issue because not only is water being depleted, they're making the water dirty. And that's not safe at all. We've seen what happened in Flint water crisis, Detroit water crisis, Mississippi water, all of the water crises. We've seen it, and we've seen the same communities. Our communities continue to be impacted. And so it's not even just the lack of access to water, it's the fact that the water is no longer clean anymore. And understanding that many of our communities, we already have trust issues when it comes to tap water. And so this does not help it at all. But also thinking about the outdoor air pollution. There's outdoor air pollution that is being exacerbated in those areas, and pollution doesn't have any borders, any boundaries. It's going into on all throughout our homes, our zip codes, all of that, and we've seen it have a significant impact on people already. And so that AI is difficult. It really is, because on one end we're seeing some economic growth, but at the same time we're seeing our community suffer health wise, especially. And so that has not been fun for us to have to navigate in the climate and environmental space, as well, as I'm sure you can imagine.
No, definitely, definitely. But I think this is an important conversation to have. And
Yeah.
it's about having this information, because if the public doesn't know, because a lot of these deals are behind doors,
Yep.
and
Yep.
they get this fast track to this land to build this
Yep.
data center
Yep.
without the public knowing, or
Yep.
even giving them, like, being part of the process. And
Yep.
when they find out, the deal's already done. And
Mhm.
this is across the
Mhm.
country.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. I just saw an announcement the other day that one was being built in kind of the neighborhood that I grew up in back home in Detroit. And one of the things I think is so important, this just kind of gets into our civic duties, is making sure that we're being involved in the voting processes and being very picky about who we do elect into office on all stages, especially the local level. I mean, we just had the elections yesterday, and I think, we definitely saw some really great wins from the environmental space, which was very exciting. But we have to not only be intentional about who we vote into these spaces because they are decision makers, but we have to make sure that we are holding them accountable once they are elected. Like, voting is just the first part of the process, but we have to then go and knock on their doors and say, hey, remember how I voted for you? I'm also asking you not to pollute my own community. So I think a lot about that. And I think that that is something that, we kind of forget, that we actually do have the power. It takes us coming in together to make sure that we're advocating for the issues that we care about, and that we're not allowing people to put data centers within our own neighborhoods.
Definitely, definitely. I appreciate you coming on. I thank you for being
Mhm.
the face of a generation that's trying to make the air quality better, the water we drink safe, and to get more brown and black girls like yourself into this conversation. Because again, environment, justice, civil rights, they go hand in hand. And like I said earlier, the way we treat Earth kind of gives you a hindsight how we treat Black women.
Yeah.
Before we end this conversation, how can people find you, and what's going on next in the future for yourself and the organization?
Yeah, of course. So you can visit my website, diamondspratling.com. You can also check out my nonprofit's website, girlplusenvironment.org. I'm on all of the socials, which is at Diamond Sierra. And then you can go on our Instagram, which is Sage Sells the World, or you can pop over to my nonprofit, which is Girl Plus Environment. So we're all over there. We have tons of things happening the next couple of months. We will be celebrating our seventh year as an organization in February, which is very exciting. And like I mentioned, the second volume of my children's book is going to be coming out in April of next year, which is also incredibly exciting. So, yeah, I'm just ready to continue spreading the word about environmental justice and making sure that every Black and Brown girl knows that there is room for them in this movement, and that there's time for them to take ownership of issues that impact them every day.
And I'm letting the dads know out there, if you want to give a great Christmas gift to your daughter or your son, get the book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All
Thanks for
right.
plugging that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been another amazing conversation here on the podcast. Like, share, and subscribe, and we're out. Peace. And I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you so
Of
much.
course. Thank you. Great talking.